coming back to hang out with us again.
Hi, happy hump day.
So I had to get up super early today.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, it's because my car is acting up again.
Oh, I hate car problems.
I know. And I'll share details about that in a second, but I
Okay.
just wondered if I could take a moment to give a little update on Steve because he had another Zoom call with his oncologist this morning.
Yeah, definitely, because I know I want to hear, and I'm sure everybody else wants to be updated on it, too.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So the one thing that he really wanted to talk to his oncologist about was how tired he is. He's just exhausted. He does still go to work every day. So, of course, on those days, he's really tired when he gets home. But he's still exhausted on the weekends when he hasn't worked. And we all know, like, you know, not just the cancer is beating him down, but the chemo is too.
Yes.
And so he just wondered if there was anything he could do to try to increase his energy level. Yeah. So his oncologist recommended that he get a 2-week break at a time. So, for example, he gets chemo 3 Fridays in a row, and then he has a Friday off.
Yes.
So his doctor was thinking that maybe if he were to have 2 weeks off, instead of just the 1 Friday off, he had 2 Fridays off, that might help.
Right.
So that's what they're going to try to do.
Well, I hope that works.
Yeah, me too.
I just know from past experience that chemo just stays in your system for so long. It's, you know, it's not something that, of course, it probably is stronger in 1 week than it would be in 2, but I mean, we can only hope, right?
Yes.
We can just hope and hopefully maybe his body, you know, because we're all different. My body will work differently than his does. I just know from my experience, I'm still I'd still be tired.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, and too, the way it used to be when he was first getting chemo, it was the week that he had chemo, he would be really tired.
Yes.
But then as the days progressed,
He
he
got
would
better
feel
and
better
better.
and better.
That's how I was too. Yeah.
Right. But recently, like over the last 2 months, I would say, he doesn't seem to feel much different.
He doesn't ever feel rejuvenated.
Yeah,
Yes.
like there's not a big difference between like maybe 3 days after chemo compared to like 5 days after chemo.
Right.
Like he's just still exhausted. He still, you know, doesn't feel hungry and things like that.
Right.
So the doctor thinks at least try. And I asked Steve, I said, okay, so if you're not getting chemo, you know, every 3 Fridays and then 1 off, you're getting the 2 off. That also means that you're not dosing yourself with as much chemo.
Correct.
The other thing, actually, too, that his doctor recommended is to reduce the amount of chemo that they're giving him at the infusions on those Fridays.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, Steve and I were on the same page with what that means. Because sometimes I feel like I might be thinking something and it might be wrong and not really like what is actually happening because it's him and his doctor's conversation.
Right.
And I usually am on the Zoom calls, but this one, it didn't work out.
Oh.
So I said, you know, I guess that kind of means that, you know, we're not attacking the cancer as aggressively.
True. But I've kind of gone through that scenario, not exactly, but similar. And I think it's an experiment, basically.
Yeah.
You don't know. You might not need that full amount to do the exact same thing that it's doing.
Right.
You just don't know. So I say give it a try.
Yeah.
And I know that the doctors will say, okay, it's been 3 or 4 months. Let's do another scan. You know, let's see where we're at.
Right.
And that's all you can do.
Right.
You know, I just hope he gets some energy out of it.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Yeah.
I wish there was, you know, something else like a B12 or something.
And I've mentioned that too.
What did they say about that?
Well, I've asked Steve to email his doctor, you know, because I am not always on the Zoom call.
Right.
And if I'm on the Zoom call, then his doctor will say, like, does Marilyn have any questions? And I usually do.
Right.
But I've mentioned the B12 shots to Steve a bunch of times because you're the one who had mentioned that to me, that your mom used to get
My mom
those.
would take those, yeah.
Yeah, so I probably should ask Steve again. That kind of felt like a broken record because I ask him so many things all the time because I want to be in the know and I want to know every little thing that's changing with him. So I will mention that to him again.
Yeah.
Because I know that worked for your mom, and I would love to know that it would work for Steve.
Yeah, and I've heard that for other people, not just my mom. I've heard other people will do the B12 shots, and it is for energy.
Interesting.
You know, it gives you a little pep in your step.
Right. Yeah. I'll mention that to Steve again for like the 10th time. And I always apologize. I'm like, I know I've already asked you this, but did you ask your doctor? And he's like, yes or no. Yeah. I haven't gotten around to it. But
we all know guys are not the best communicators.
Yes.
Right?
And being very proactive with their health.
Yeah.
Like, I ask a lot of questions and I push things a lot. And so sometimes I feel like Steve is appreciative of that.
Yeah, you're different.
Yeah. And then sometimes I feel like I'm just annoying him, you know.
Right.
So I try to have a happy balance of like reminding him and asking and pushing. And, you know, he's just so sweet and amiable. But I also don't want to just think that that's why he's not mentioning it.
Right.
You know, because I know he's on morphine too and other pain meds that can make him not think clearly.
Heck no, I would be I'd be walking in a fog.
Oh my gosh,
For
I know.
Sure.
He handles that so well.
He does. He handles that very well.
Yeah, so when I asked him, like, I just want to make sure we're on the same page, like, am I understanding this correctly, that you're not going to get as much of a dose of chemo when we go.
Is that what they decided?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Okay. So they're going to reduce the amount of chemo on the Fridays and then give them 2 off. And so
give them 2 Fridays off.
He said, yes, that is what it means. And he goes, and actually at this point, I'm thinking like Cynthia, it's quality of life and not quantity. And like, that's one of those reality checks, you know, like I had mentioned on a previous podcast where, you know, when Steve says, I don't want to go to work today, you know, that was a really hard one for me.
That was an eye-opener to you. Yeah.
Yes. And then this conversation this morning where he compared, you know, your conversation, because he saw the podcast where you talked about quantity over
quality.
Quality.
It's quality over
quantity.
Yeah.
Yes. And he said that's kind of where I'm at right now, is that I'm so tired. I have no energy to do anything. And I know that is really bothering him. So.
Oh, yeah. It's so frustrating. Of course, I'm not at that level. I feel very fortunate that I'm not at that level. But as I was just telling Marilyn this morning when I came over, I said, we filmed, you know, yesterday, and I go home and lay down and take a nap. I mean, I am not a nap person.
No, and it's not very strenuous to sit here and talk.
I
said it's not like we climbed upstairs while we were filming.
No.
But it really goes to show like how badly the cancer zaps you.
It does.
Of your
it just
energy.
it starts sucking you dry, and it's just, you notice it little by little. I will say though that I feel so fortunate that when I made that decision of having quality, not quantity, that I have not had I've had nothing for a year and a month.
Nothing what?
No treatment.
Oh, right.
I've not had a treatment. I've not had a chemo. I've not had an immunotherapy. I've not had anything done in a year and a month. And I know that's why of course I know that's why I'm in pain now, where I wasn't before.
Right.
But I am, you know, I think it's because I don't have all those side effects from chemo.
Yeah.
And I get side effects from immunotherapy too.
Right.
So anyway, it's a game that you play, literally. So you want this or do you want that?
Right.
You know, and that's very hard to make a decision to say, I don't want it anymore.
Right.
Because you know what the end is, but you're willing to do it because it doesn't matter if you constantly take this chemo, you're still not going to be here one day.
Right.
It just lengthens it, but if you feel like crap, who cares?
Yeah. If you're not enjoying it every day. Yeah, totally.
You know?
For sure. Well, and then the other thing that Steve mentioned to me a few days ago, because he asked me to give him a back rub, and I was rubbing his back with this massager that he likes, and when I got down to like his mid back, he said, "Oh," and I'm like, sorry, I didn't know if I pushed too hard because he is kind of bony.
Because he had his shirt on, right?
Yeah, he had a T-shirt on. Because that little thing kind of sticks if it's on the skin.
Oh,
so it kind of slides.
Slide more on a T-shirt.
Yeah, on a T-shirt. So when I got to the middle of his back, he kind of like winced a little, and he goes, "Actually, stop for a second. I want to show you something." And so then he just lifts up his shirt to the middle of his back, and he's got this crazy, like 3 sores on his back. And I was like, "Hon, what is that?" Well, he goes, "I think they're bed sores because he's sitting in a lazy boy. You know, when he's not working, he's in that lazy boy the whole time. And it's so uncomfortable for him to sleep in a bed, not just because the biliary drained, but because he has so much pain in his rib cage and his back from the cancer. So he hasn't slept in a bed in years.
Years.
He's been sleeping in the lazy boy, which is in the guest bedroom. So anyhow, I'm
just amazed though that he would get that. Because it's not like he's at home 24/7.
No, I know.
Is up and like right now he's at work.
Yeah, totally. I know.
So I don't. Yeah.
I mean, when he said I think it's a bed sore, I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
Because for one, he's not in a bed, but I get, he's laying down.
I have a lazy boy sore.
Yes, that's what I said. I'm like, we have to call it a lazy boy sore. Because it just seemed so crazy that he's up and around 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day, but he still got a sore. And so what he said after talking to the doctor is that raising up his feet to keep the neuropathy from bothering him too much, we bought kind of this wedge pillow. So he puts it under his legs to lift his legs up so the neuropathy feels better. But that also puts the pressure on his middle back. So anyhow.
Like I said, it's one thing or another.
Yeah.
It's like you have to get one thing and then you got to suffer from another. Seriously, that's what I got sick of.
Yeah, totally. Because he's trying to fight comfort with the angle that he has to sit on to put the wedge under his legs. And then he is using a heating pad around the whole, it's one of those long ones. So we'll wrap it from the front to the back on this side where he's hurting. Well, now his skin, it looks like curling iron burn because he leaves it on there so long. And so I'm like, "Hon, don't you feel that your skin is burning?" And he's like, "Not at all." Well, I even put one of those little alcohol pads that you use to clean before you give yourself a shot.
Yes.
I set one of those on the wound and he couldn't feel it.
Well, it's not an open wound, though.
It is an open wound.
Oh, are you talking about the bed sore?
The bed sore.
Okay, not the burn.
No, not the burn. No.
Oh, gosh.
So, because when he said he couldn't feel the skin was burned, I thought maybe he can't feel too much pain on the open wound. Yeah. So when I set the alcohol pad on it, he's like, "I don't feel anything." So then I have some spray rubbing alcohol. So I thought, let's just disinfect it because it was just very odd colored.
And you have to really keep an eye on that. Like, you need to check that like every single day.
Yes, I have been. And I took his temperature.
Because that can get infected. Did he talk to the doctor?
Yeah, so he mentioned it to the doctor, and that's who told him the angle with the pillow.
The angle.
So is now making it worse.
So don't do the angle?
So he's like, his neuropathy has gotten better since they pulled that one chemo drug out of the infusion. But he still does it to keep.
Still has it, though.
Yes, and he's got swelling back in the lower part of his leg. So he's got the swelling and the sores on his back and the pain, which he tries to keep under control.
Yes.
With the morphine, and then he is so uncomfortable. He tried to sleep on the couch last night. He said I lasted about an hour. I was so uncomfortable I had to go back on the lazy boy. So now he just tries to lean off his back. So I was trying to think if there was something like a very flat donut that we could put on his back so that he doesn't put pressure
on that
area. Those 3 sores.
There's blow up things. I think you can go on Amazon and find
maybe
that.
I'll look.
And usually it's for people that have, because they've had surgery on their butt.
Oh, like a hemorrhoid or something.
Yeah, and it's literally a round thing with an opening.
Well,
so that when you sit, that's not being pressed on.
Exactly.
And maybe you could find one with the largest
larger
opening.
hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not too wide. Because I actually still have my nursing pillow. I found it in the closet in the workout room.
Oh, is it like that?
Yeah, because it kind of wraps around you. So I thought I can lay that there, but when I pulled it out, it was like this thick. And he said he even tried to use a pillow to wedge up at the top of his back.
Yeah, it's too
but
much.
Then it like pushes you too forward. So I'm like, okay, that won't work.
Smaller.
So we need something very narrow that's got a wide hole. Because I mean, with the wound area, the 3 wounds are like next to each other, but it takes up an area, about this big. So anyhow, yeah, my poor guy. Like,
yeah. Whenever I feel like I need to complain, I think about Steve, and I'm like, I have no complaint.
I mean,
because I can't complain because he is. I mean, I'm able to sit here and do this still, and it's like I just can't even. I don't feel like I have like
any room
to
space
to complain
right.
when what he's going through is. I mean, I don't have any sores, and I don't have neuropathy. I mean, he's dealing with so
have an
much
appetite.
more.
Yeah. I know. I just told him, like, I'm so proud of you for going to chemo every week. I'm so proud of you for, like, tolerating the sores and the pain. Like, I just don't know how I would handle it if I was in a situation. And I said that I'm not sure that I could get myself to chemo for 3 years in a row. Like, there hasn't been a very big break.
Right.
Only just shortly after he had radiation. So, like, he's been doing chemo for 3 years, and I remember you saying it was hard to go there because you feel good when you're going to chemo.
You go, and then you go there, and it makes you sad.
Yeah, you get zapped, and then you feel crappy.
I used to tell the nurse that, or no, it was my doctor, my oncologist. She was constantly pushing me to do treatments, and I would be like, no, I don't think I want that, or no, I don't think I want this one, or whatever. And I said, you got to understand, I said, I actually feel good, and I go and I come see you, and you give me stuff, you make me sick.
Yes.
And she kind of looked at me.
Yeah. You should feel bad. She's like, I'm trying to kill your cancer.
I know, but you're killing me at the same
time. Yeah, you're killing me too.
Yeah. So,
oh my gosh.
Like I said, we're all different.
Yeah.
We all handle things differently. That's just the way I handle things.
Yeah.
And you would handle it probably completely different than me and Steve handle it.
I know, yeah.
It's an individual thing that you do, and I see a lot of people on the internet, and we're all different.
Yeah.
We all do it differently,
totally.
know. So.
And his attitude too. Like we say all the time, his attitude is still so great. And he's still so positive.
Yeah.
It's just seeing him beat down and so tired and then hurting, it's just like
and that's when you start feeling emotionally beat down.
Yes.
Because pain takes it out of you. It really does. I think your body's fighting that pain.
Yeah.
And you're exhausted.
Yeah.
From your body fighting the pain.
Yeah. And it's fighting the cancer,
Oh, it's doing that too. Yeah, it's trying. But, so what the heck happened to your car?
Oh my gosh.
Gosh, I hate car problems.
Me
I
too.
think that's almost as bad as
I know. I'm like, everyone should have a mechanic in the family.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Because I tell you, it's like the labor.
Except you could have a mechanic in the family and they don't have time to work on
they're too busy.
Other cars because they're too busy at work, right?
Yeah, and when they get off work, they don't want to work on their sister's car.
because my son's a mechanic, and no, he's always working on his own car.
I forgot. Yeah, Jared. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's the thing. A year and a half ago, we had put in a refurbished transmission.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Okay, I remember that.
So my transmission went out on my Volkswagen Jetta at 54,000 miles. So I don't think this is my third Jetta. I do not think I'm going to buy another Jetta because this one has been jinxed. So at 54,000 miles, we had to get a refurbished transmission because a brand new transmission was going to cost what my car was worth. And I'm sorry, my car is paid off. And it's not even that old. It's a 2017.
Right.
I barely use it. The car looks
it's only,
brand
that
new.
many miles.
Yeah, and I haven't worked in 3 years, so I'm not even driving to work every day.
Right.
I'm literally driving to Trader Joe's, Walmart, the nail salon. So I barely put miles on this car. So we decided to do the refurbished. It was about $3,800 compared to
I think it was like 8,000, wasn't it?
Oh, it was actually 10,000. And my car valued at that time
10,000?
at 11,000.
11,000. Okay.
Wow. So we were like, no, we didn't even have 10,000 to spend.
Right.
So it was $3,800 to get the refurbished or the used. I think they might have
rebuilt. Yeah. They rebuilt them. Yeah.
Then we had a year warranty on that transmission, and then at 13 months, my transmission was leaking transmission fluid. So we took it back to AMCO is where we went. And they're so nice. Like, I'm not seeing anything bad. I just think that my situation with my Jetta is jinxed. But they said, bring it back, and we're going to try to figure out what's causing the leak. Well, that was $2,200 to figure out what was causing the leak and to fix it. Okay? Wow. And that wasn't included in the warranty of the year because we were at 13 months.
That figures.
Right? And I told Steve, I go, I am actually trying to rev up my car a little bit more, like in September. I thought if something's going to go wrong, it's going to happen because I'm revving up my car. Like, I'm kind of taking off from a stop sign a little quickly.
Trying to make it break before
yes,
the
I'm like,
year
if it's going to break right now, because then we'll get another refurbished one for free.
No.
But no.
It didn't work.
No, it didn't work. I don't know. Maybe I caused the transmission fluid to leak. That's what happened in November.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, so we paid $2,200 to have the transmission fluid leak and whatever else was wrong.
Yeah.
But then, as soon as Steve brought my car back to me, I was driving it, and it sounded like those little rocket cars that don't have a muffler, or like a Kawasaki. Like, you know when you're driving next to them and you hear that ring sound?
Oh, okay. Not like a boom, 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 boom.
No.
It's more of a ring.
Yeah, because it's like when the muffler's missing.
Well, when the muffler's missing, it's more of a boom, boom, boom sound.
No.
You don't have the muffler to muffle it.
No, the kids want their cars to sound loud. Yeah, but it's like this whirring sound. It's like you hear them coming from far away. Anyways, so I literally thought there was like a Kawasaki or a motorcycle behind me because I kept looking. I'm thinking like, why is this?
What's that noise?
Yeah, like what is this noise? And I'm like, go ahead and pass me, And I'm looking all around and there's no motorcycle. I realize every time I take my foot off the accelerator to slow down at a stop sign, the sound goes away. So Steve took my car back and said it's making this whirring sound. They couldn't find anything wrong. It was a couple $100, whatever, right? Okay, so now my car is doing what it did 2 years ago when I started noticing that something was wrong with the transmission. So it's like lunging when it goes into the next gear and it's an automatic. Or it does this weird, like, wiggle thing that, like, reminds me...
It's jerking, right?
Yeah, it reminds me of when you're driving a stick and you're trying to go from the clutch to the accelerator and it kind of does that little...
jerk if you don't do it smooth.
Yes, it feels like that. So, anyways, here we are. And we dropped it off this morning, and they're going to take a look at it and figure out what's going on. So... if I gotta buy another,
is terrible.
I know. If I have to pay for another used one, like we're still paying off the first one.
I am so sorry because that is super annoying. It's like one of those pits of life.
Yeah.
I've always said moving from a house or an apartment. When you move your stuff. Yeah. That and car troubles are the two pits of life. I've always thought those are just two things that are just like,
because you need a car. You have to have
your car, and you got to have a place to live.
Totally. Oh my gosh.
But cancer sucks too.
Yeah. No, that is another pit of life. Yeah. Let's add that one.
We'll add
for
that
sure.
one in.
That one's at the top of the list, right? Because you don't need a house or a car if you're not alive.
I know, right? Exactly.
Oh Lord.
Gosh.
Okay, so you know me and my startling statistics.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I heard another one that I have to share with you guys. And then when Cynthia and I were talking about it, I was cracking up because she has a funny story. Okay, so the startling statistic is that 56% of people think it's okay to use a coupon on a first date. I was flabbergasted.
I was shocked.
I mean, I get embarrassed to use a coupon when you and I go. I mean, back in the beginning, right? Because I would say like, oh my gosh, because we love Veneta-Ria's in Rockland. I'm like, there's a buy one, get one free.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, let's use it. I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm like,
to do that initial,
You're like trying to see what my reaction is.
Yes,
okay. Because
I do get embarrassed fairly easy. Just even mentioning that to you the very first time.
Like it's a new friendship, you don't know how I am about certain
because Because you're going to be like, I don't use coupons, you know, or like, that's stupid, or, you know, because I always love to save money.
Me too.
But, you know, so it's like, if you can buy one breakfast and get one free, why not?
Heck yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But like, on a first date,
that's different.
56% of people think it's okay.
Yeah, that is shocking to me.
Serious.
Because on a first date, aren't you supposed to be like on your best of best?
Yes.
I mean, you don't even know the real person.
No. And you're trying to put your best foot forward. You don't want this person to have any idea whether you're having financial troubles
or you're
troubles
a
or not.
Yeah.
You do not want to like show your cards.
No.
Even if you don't have a lot of money.
Yeah, you
don't use a coupon on the first date.
Still would not do that.
No, and you would take them to maybe a restaurant that's not as expensive.
Yeah,
you know, so that you can't afford to take them.
Right, exactly. We're not saying, you know, use your life savings to go and take somebody out on dates, and that's so because you don't want to use your coupons. But yeah, a first date is you try to show your best, and unfortunately, a coupon is kind of a thing you do with people you know already, or your husband, you know, because your husband's all for saving money too.
Oh, totally. You know? Yeah, because Braden and Steve and I, we love coupons.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Braden gets 3 Subway sandwiches for $20.
Okay, yeah, because it's buy one get one free, or the BOGO thing.
No, it's 3 for $20.
Oh, okay, I've not seen that one.
Yeah,
okay.
And I'll save it for you if you. I love Subway.
We never.
You don't go to Subway.
I mean, every once in a while, but I don't think we could eat 3 of them.
Oh yeah, no, Braden will do that. He loves the flatbread sandwiches, and he gets the steak with the jalapeno sauce on it.
That sounds good.
Oh, it is really good. And so the coupon literally is a 3 footlongs. It's $19.99.
That's
really
a great deal.
I know.
Yeah.
So anyways, and I love that Braden loves to use coupons because it's like, why not save money? Like they're mailing you the coupon. Like, let's be smart enough to use them.
Let's be smart in life.
Okay.
Exactly.
So the funny thing is, I listen to a radio station that's local, and Cynthia and I love the morning crew on this radio station.
Yes.
They were talking about this very thing because one of the DJs had gone on a date, and I don't think it was the first date. It could have been like the first or second or third date.
Oh, okay.
But he went on the date, and he is having financial trouble.
Okay.
And that's very well known on the morning radio show.
Right. He always talks about how he struggles.
Yes.
Because doesn't he live with his mom?
Well, he does.
Okay.
He does. And he spends a lot of money.
Oh, okay. So he has a hard time
saving
and being smart with his money.
Yes. Okay. He eats out every meal. He's got to have the top of the line clothes. He wants to look like super trendy with what's going on. So he just is not good with money.
Not good with money. Okay.
But the story that he told, I was dying. So he took a girl out on an early date, first or second or third date, whatever. And he didn't want her to know he was using a coupon. Okay. So when they brought that little fold-over leather thing that they put your check in, he put it under the table and then stuck his credit card and a coupon in this little
trying to be super sly.
Yeah. And then hands it back to the server. And then she comes back to the table and she's like, I'm so sorry, that coupon expired a month ago. He got totally busted on the date.
So busted.
And I'm like, if you're going to use a coupon on a date, especially in the very beginning when you're getting to know somebody, wouldn't you make sure that it wasn't expired?
You would think.
Because that could have gone off without a hitch. And honestly, I wondered if that server was just being ornery because
I don't think so.
She could have circled the expiration date and gave him.
Just like
snuck it back to him.
Oh, well.
Because I just thought that was a little ornery. You know, if I was a server, I would know that, like, this is probably, like,
I don't know.
something.
No, that could be his wife.
I mean,
they know.
Maybe. But you know what I love doing? I love going out to eat.
Yeah.
And I try not to, stare or gawk or anything, but I love to try to figure out if people are on a first date. You can usually tell by the body language.
Yeah.
And anyways, I pick them out. I'll be like, they're on a first date. Or
well, I will say I can tell. I don't know if I'm right because I don't ask them.
Yeah.
Right? But I will say there's sometimes I'll see 2 people, and I'll wonder if they're on like a first date, but like meeting they've met or talked on the internet.
Oh, so there's never been a face-to-face.
Yeah, it's like their first face-to-face.
Right.
So I've kind of thought that, like, the way they're acting kind of is like their first,
Yeah, because the body language
yes,
really tells a lot.
It does.
You know, if they're, like, leaning back and not leaning in.
Okay, so tell me your thoughts on this one. Here's another scenario that I was a little thrown off on. Okay. So I have a girlfriend, so her and her husband and another couple. Okay, so all four of them are going out to dinner, and it's kind of an expensive place, and so instead of saying, oh, this is yours and this is mine, or splitting, they just said, we're just going to, use a credit card, and we're going to just have the server split it, right down the middle.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they each get 2 tickets, right? And she says, and then they pull out a gift card. And they put their gift card on there plus a credit card. So whatever the gift card didn't cover, you use the credit card to cover for their half.
Okay.
And she didn't say anything at the time. Okay. But she's telling me this story. And she said, I thought that was so rude that they used this gift card on their half.
And not on the whole bill.
Yeah. So I looked at her and I kind of say what I feel. I don't, I kind of, and not in a mean way or anything.
No.
But I just said to her, okay, well, what is wrong? I don't understand what's wrong with that. Why do you feel that's rude?
Yeah.
And she says, because I think if I had a gift card, I would have put that gift card towards the total purchase.
Right.
And then we split half and half.
Whatever's left over.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I said, but why? I go, a gift card is money that you have, say you got it for your birthday.
Yeah, it's your gift.
It's your gift.
Right.
Why would I give half of my birthday gift to you for your half of the bill? So, no, we didn't see eye to eye on that at all.
Wow.
So I'm kind of curious what everybody else
feels
because
about that. I totally would not think it was rude.
No.
If you and John and me and Steve went out to eat, we got the bill.
Right.
I would not expect for you to take your $100 gift card and use it towards the bill and then split the remainder.
And then split the remainder.
That is your gift. You got it as a gift.
Just like money.
It is.
It just happened. that person went to wherever and paid them that $100 with real money to get that card, right?
Yes.
So I really was kind of shocked on that one. It was like, wow, why would you feel that?
Yeah, because I don't feel like it's rude.
No.
I would be like, no, do not use your gift card towards our meal. Like, use that towards your half of the meal.
Right.
For sure.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's really interesting to see how people think completely different.
Right.
So, okay, let's use that gift card in a dating scenario. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're on a first or second or third date. You're still getting to know that person.
Right.
And let's paint the scenario. Let's say it's a second date. So you go on a date with a gentleman, and he bought your first date dinner.
Okay.
So if I was going on a second date, I would offer to pay. Let's say that he is like, thank you, that is very sweet. I'll let you go ahead and pay. So let's say you guys went to P.F. Chang's, and you had a $50 P.F. Chang's gift card that you had gotten for your birthday.
Would I use a gift card?
Yeah. Would you use a gift card on a second date
with the guy that I said I'm going to pay?
Yeah.
Probably.
Really?
I probably would.
Interesting.
Because in my mind, that's money.
Yes.
And why not? It's not like I'm, doing a BOGO.
Yeah. Or a coupon. Yeah.
It's money, and it's just money that happens to be on a card, not in my wallet.
I know. I totally hear you.
Yeah.
Because I agree in the scenario that you gave with your friend.
Yeah.
I would not be able to use a gift card if it was my turn to pay on a second date. I could not put a gift card in the little thing.
And tell me why.
I think that I would feel cheap. And I don't even know why. I think that it would look as if I didn't have the money to pay, so I'm using this gift card, or that I look cheap. And it is not validated, because I'm saying this out loud, and I really don't understand, other than I think I would feel embarrassed.
Huh.
But I'm not sure why, because I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
It is like cash.
Well, like you said, we all get embarrassed for different things.
Yes.
Right? Where me, no, I would not be embarrassed, because that's a gift card. And who knows? You know how you have a gift card for like 2 years and it's like, I'm finally going to this place.
Yes.
I'm going to use this card before I lose it again.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
How many times you lose a gift card and you re-find it a year later?
Exactly.
Or the place is closed now.
Yeah, they go out of business.
Especially for restaurants.
Yeah, totally. That happens a lot.
It's kind of like, I got to hurry up and use this, so, I don't want it to be gone.
Totally.
So, no, I would have no problem.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And if he thought I was cheap, then tough.
Well, and that's the thing, is that shows your personality. Because you're like, if you think I'm cheap,
then
oh well.
Yeah.
So, the funny radio show that we were talking about,
Yes.
they have a lot of different funny segments.
Yes,
There's a
they
segment
do.
that they have called the Second Date Update.
So funny.
Oh my gosh,
I
I
love
am
that.
glued to
I
it.
love
That
yeah.
and War of the Roses. Give a
Yes,
little shout
that's a
out.
good one, too.
106.5, the wake up call. And so this one morning, this guy called in. He said, I hit it off with this girl on our first date. Now she's ghosting me. I don't know what happened. And they said, let's call her up and let's find out. And this is how the segment goes. They get the date on the phone, and they say, you went on a first date with this guy, Brad, let's just say, and, it seemed like you guys hit it off. There was even talk about going out again, but you're ghosting him, and he wants to know why.
Yeah, like what he did.
Yeah, like what happened? Did he have something in his teeth? Did he have bad breath?
Right.
Like, what? And she goes, well, did he tell you he was married? And they're like, no, he did not tell us he was married. Let's get Brad back on the phone.
Yeah.
So now they conference the call together. And they're like, Brad, you didn't tell us you were married. And he's like, I'm not married. And they're like, so what made you think that Brad is married? She goes, because the credit card had a female's name on it.
With the same last name, right?
Yes. So let's say example. It said, Kristen
Jones.
Miller. Yeah, Jones. Kristen Jones, right? Yeah. And his last name is Brad Jones, right?
Right.
She thought he was married. So then, what is
Christina Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what you meant? Or Christian?
I said Kristen.
Oh, Kristen.
Yeah.
I thought you said Christian. Okay.
No, Kristen.
Sorry. Kristen Jones.
Kristen Jones.
Yes, you would totally think that was his
wife. Exactly.
She had her radar on that credit card.
Oh, man. I was like,
to be able to read that whole thing.
Yes, I know. I thought the same thing. I'm not even sure that I could read.
Boink like
yeah,
that.
Me too.
And
to read that far away and read upside down.
And check out the first and last
name
on
and
there.
honestly, I always feel like it's very respectable to give someone their privacy. I would never watch them pulling money out of their wallet. I would never watch them put their credit card in the, whatever that leather thing is called. I don't know. I'm going to Google that later. Yeah. But anyhow, she literally saw that it had Kristen Jones on it.
Right.
I'm just making this up.
Right.
Okay, so then he goes, but I'm not married. And then she goes, who is Kristen Jones? And then he goes, that's my mom. And I was
That's almost worse.
I was dying. I was like, I would have rather just either let her think I'm married and just hang up the phone, or just hang up the phone. Then say I used my mom's credit card. I was dying.
Now that's the worst, okay?
Totally.
Gift card, coupons.
Yeah.
No, your mom's credit card.
Yeah, that is
the worst.
The ultimate worst, right? Okay, so then the DJs on the radio show are like, you used your mom's credit card.
Up?
Yes.
Okay.
And mortified.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like so awkward. I want to crawl into a rock. And I'm not even the one that used my mom's credit card. So they're like, why did you use your mom's credit card? And he goes, I was telling my mom that I was going to go on a first date with this girl that I met online. And she was like, here, let me treat your first date dinner. I'm thinking, you would give your son your credit card? Why wouldn't you give your son cash?
First of all,
that is weird.
I wouldn't even do that.
No. Okay, here's the funny thing. They asked, Brad, do you mind if we ask how old you are? And I'm thinking, he's going to say he's like 20.
18, 19.
Yeah, super young, like a teenager.
Right.
No, he was 35 years old and literally took his mom's credit card.
And did he live at home
at
35?
He did not live at home. They did ask that.
Only because, where are you with your mom? And she has her credit card and you're talking about this dating thing. And I wouldn't want, only because I wouldn't want to give my credit card to my son and then I don't see him for 2 months.
Yeah.
You know, unless you live in the same household
Yeah,
or something,
yeah.
and he's got your credit card.
Oh, for sure. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking they live together.
Yeah, exactly. Because they did say, like, how did you get the credit card from your mom? He's like, I was just at my mom's house and told my mom. And she's like, take my credit card. I want to treat you guys to dinner.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice mom and everything, but that's kind of weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
You're 35 years old.
Yeah.
I
and
don't.
the first date.
I don't even know
somebody.
if I was a teenager and my mom tried to pay for my date, that I would let my mom pay for my date.
Yeah, unless I was completely broke. Like, I honestly didn't have the money.
Yeah.
And I was going to use my credit card or something, you know. Then if they offered, maybe, but I don't know. My mom and dad would never offer anyway.
No.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. And I wouldn't even
That is hilarious.
date if I was flat broke.
No.
I would be too embarrassed to date anybody if I was flat broke because I don't want it to ever come up
that I'm flat broke.
I don't even want to use a gift card because I'm afraid they're going to think I'm cheap.
And I might need that to live on.
Exactly. Yeah,
I need dinner for 3
I could get
nights.
2 dinners out of that if I go by myself. Oh my God. So anyways, I swear, it's just so interesting to see how other people
Everybody's
think.
different.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't use a gift card. You would.
I would.
I mean, I would never take money from my mother to pay for a dinner.
No, I would not do
like
that either.
I don't know.
That's exactly it. So we hope you feel the same.
Yeah, let us know. Guys, would you use a coupon on a first or second or third date? Would you use a gift card?
Yeah.
Like she would, I wouldn't. Like it's just so interesting to see the dynamics of how different
of everybody,
people think.
of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
so we
anyways,
enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's all we got for you guys today. Thanks for laughing along with us,
Yep.
and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.